It's the man who's back, who's whack, who's keeping you all on track. It's me, Cody Bratch, and by my side is the Forgotten Pharaoh.
Dude, you gotta let me know how you're gonna do these intros. You didn't give any heads up how that was going to be, and I loved that. Hello, everybody. How are y'all?
Yeah, it's something I came up with when I tried to be a YouTuber myself a long time ago when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. Let's never talk about it again.
The two-toed dinosaurs were always my favorites. But Cody, why are we here today?
Well, I think we should first mention the elephant in the room, or the elephant that's not in the room. That's right, Gojin the Makai Phantom is not here to host the podcast. It is for right now, it's me hosting the motherfucker.
You know what that means? It means we finally have control of the podcast. We just need to get rid of him a few more times, and we could take control of it from him.
Wait a minute. Did you just air our secret plan on a live stream?
I mean, maybe, but isn't that what supervillains do?
I guess so.
I learned from the great Technus, the master of math. What did Technus do? Technus always announces great elaborate plans.
Technus, that's the guy from Danny Phantom, right? The science ghost?
Yes! I loved him.
I guess that is what he does.
Plans, and they would always work every time.
Until they didn't.
Josh, every time. Anyway, so yes, Gojin is not here. May he rest in peace wherever he is. He's not dead.
We
but
totally
he's
didn't kill him.
Somewhere.
He's on the back of our car.
I mean, he could be resting in the back of a car. He could be resting in bed for all we know.
The shovel.
Yes,
we're here because, well, we were supposed to do this last week, but then, okay, I guess I gotta do a little brief acknowledgement of this. November has been a very shit month for kids who grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because two icons of 90s children entertainment have sadly passed within a week of each other, basically. Almost 10 days of each other. Kevin Conroy, who was like the longest continuously running actor portraying Batman.
Yeah.
Mostly through voice, passed away on November 10th due to cancer, which I didn't even know he had. He was 66 at the time. And then last Sunday, when we were originally supposed to do this podcast, and the reason we didn't do the podcast, Jason David Frank, who played Tommy Oliver, which was basically the character that Power Rangers was basically most about, or at least the fandom's all about, arguably the most popular character of Power Rangers, also passed away. He was 49. And unfortunately, I know it's not a contest or anything, and I don't want to make light of anything. It seems like JDF's death, the circumstances around his death are a tad more tragic. I'm not going to get into them here because, well, you all got to find out for yourself if you're going to look that shit up. But yeah, it's really fucking sad. It really got to me.
That's a common theme with a lot of really good actors or really nice people, where outwardly they're friendly, they're hopeful, they're helpful, they're supportive of others, and deep down they're very upset and they're hurt and they're suffering. And they just kind of keep on that happy facade while they're breaking down inside. And it hurts.
It's not just actors, it's also people in general. Speaking from my own experiences, yeah, all I can say is do the best you can to make the best of your life. And if you have a friend that you think needs your help, please do everything you can to help them. We're stronger when we're together.
If you're having trouble with that, reach out, get help, or find someone you're comfortable to talk to. Don't hurt alone. That's the worst feeling.
Yes.
And I'm almost sad.
Together we stand, divided we fall. And part of me feels like we should talk about Kevin Conroy as Batman and JDF as Tommy to a more extended length, but given the title of the stream, the podcast, and the fact that I don't want to break down crying on stream, we're not gonna we're not going to do that. But I will, since he asked me to, I will read something that my publisher and friend Christopher Nigro, the head of Wild Hunt Press, asked to be read on a podcast by both me and a mutual acquaintance of ours who also does a podcast.
Ooh.
So, here it is. Jason David Frank guided the character of Tommy Oliver through one of the most remarkable extended character arcs ever. He went from troubled teen to hero to leader to mentor through the years. And his character was a huge inspiration to me, both as a creative writer and on a personal level. The man is going to be missed. My heart goes out to his family, friends, and all my fellow fans. My sentiments exactly there, Chris. Way to go.
Dude, that was really nice. Well said and well written.
Okay. I guess I'll time to move on. Yes.
But as life must go on, unfortunately, there's a resurrection afoot, which is very surprising.
A resurrection that's really neat. A resurrection that's full of meat.
I don't know.
Yes,
Have you
I made an
eaten turtle meat before?
MST3K reference. Well, no, but in order to quote Shredder for role-playing games I did with friends, I wouldn't say tonight I dine on turtle soup.
I mean, he has died a few times that I'm pretty sure you can make thousands of bowls of soup out of him. Or you can use his shell as a bowl of soup. Oh, that's brilliant. Now this is getting dark now. What's the actual topic before I start turning full supervillain?
Gamera! Gamera is really neat. He is made of turtle meat. We've been eating Gamera! Literally, in between all this sad bullshit, between the passing of Kevin Conroy and the passing of JDF, there was an announcement from Kanekawa Pictures, from apparently their animation department's Twitter account, from what I understand, that there's going to be a new Gamera project released on Netflix. After so many years, the last Gamera anything we had was like 2015, 2016, I think, with that proof of concept teaser, you know?
That teaser looked amazing, but nothing ever came out of it, and I don't even feel like that counts.
Yeah. Apparently it was both a proof of concept teaser and a reel that you put together to try to, like, pitch to investors and whatnot to see if, or to gauge interest from both investors and fans, and apparently there wasn't enough for them to move them forward with whatever the idea they had, so they're just like, fuck it. We don't want to do anything with this turtle. And then somebody apparently got the idea to say, hey, let's actually do something with this turtle. And so they put a few minds together. I hope not literally. And they came up with this Gamera animation project. I think we can now confirm because it was the Kanekawa's animation department's Twitter that announces this will be an animated Netflix project. We still don't know yet for certain if it's going to be a movie or a show, although August Ragone, who's apparently big in the kaiju fan department, said that, oh, hello, it magically appears.
What?
Anyways.
Oh yes, this is a wonderful image of it that looks really cool. It kind of feels a little Showa with the combination of Heisei going into it, because it looks like he has that Heisei grit looking to him, but the black and white makes it feel older, which looks really nice.
For sure. The way the snout is shaped kind of makes it look like the Gamera from that teaser we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Which I am all happy. Actually, little thing. To catch you up, the last Gamera movie that came out was Gamera the Brave in 2006, and that was almost 20 years ago now. It's amazing. And according to just online and Wikipedia for all sorts of information, the director of the Heisei movie said he had proposed an idea for a new film, so it might be a movie specifically. And if the director of the Heisei movies,
but also according to
I am all down for it, which explains the design too.
I don't want to correct you, but I read some similar information. It said that he had gone to Kanekawa to propose a new idea, which would have been cool, but apparently they were already in work on this project when when he came to them with his own idea. So
Ooh, okay.
even though he's not really going to be involved, and even though this cost him a chance to do Gamera again, he still supports the idea behind the project. He said so himself on social media. So that's cool. Good to see there's no hard feelings. Unless he secretly is in a corner bitching to himself like, fucking assholes, why didn't I get to them sooner? Now I can't do my own idea where Gamera literally eats the world. Yeah!
He's had time to continue pitching this idea, and I don't know where he's been, but there's been time. There's been a drought of Gamera anything for a long time that I was almost convinced they might not do it, but I am happy. I thought Toho might try and do a Shin Gamera. We talked about this in a previous podcast, but I'm glad it's going somewhere at least.
Yeah, a lot of people were starting to think that even though a bunch of us Kaiju fans were always wanting a new Gamera project, like we were starting to think, because as the years were passing on, we were starting to think it was never going to happen. And then all of a sudden, Santa brought us an early Christmas present.
I mean, yeah, I'm happy. I'll be happier when it comes out. Yeah, but this news is definitely helpful. It definitely eases some of the blow of the negative, sad things that has happened. So I'm like, cool, something new to look forward to. Because so far, I find Netflix has been doing a pretty good job with like the Godzilla series. Ultraman's a little bit weirder, but I'm like, it's a good introductory for these things.
For my own perspective, yes, they've been good at promoting it. I can't say they've been good at making it because Netflix didn't actually make those projects. They were handled by animation studios over in Japan. I made it no secret here on the podcast that I'm not a fan of the Polygon trilogy. While I was intrigued by Singular Point at the time, and I was enjoying the ride, I felt that the ultimate outcome left a little bit to be desired, but I still appreciate what Singular Point was trying to do, and yeah, Ultraman was a little bit weird. Apparently it's based on a manga that came out that was supposed to be a direct sequel to the original Ultraman series, but I watched like 6 episodes and I just couldn't get into it.
That's fair enough. As
However,
someone who doesn't know Ultraman very well, I was able to just go through season 1 well. Season 2 felt like it dragged on a bit, but I'm like, I don't know Ultraman enough, so this feels like a good introduction to understanding a little bit of it and the lore, which did get me to read some of the new comics that have been coming out with it. And the what was it? Godzilla Planet series, I enjoyed the concepts they were doing with it. Animation itself is a little weird, but whoa, cat's attacking me. But I do like the ideas they went with it. Mechagodzilla City is a really cool concept that hasn't been done yet. Ghidorah being a galactic planet eater was always something in, like, it's been in his lore, but we never really saw him destroying planets, where this time it's like, oh, he's an interdimensional black hole monster. That's cool. It's like, this actually feels...
An interdimensional black hole noodle monster.
Yeah, like, this feels like something that actually eats planets, and I am all open for that. So yeah,
right on. Mad respect to that.
Yeah, so I'm open to how this Gamera series might be. Will it be similar to the old Showa movies, which we'll get to that in a little bit. We have some different opinions.
Oh
on
yeah.
This, or the Heisei ones, which are generally universally loved by most fans.
Or will it be a little bit of column A or column B, like Gamera the Brave from 2006?
I will say I don't have much dislike for that movie, which I just have personal issues with. But after rewatching it for this podcast, I will say that it's fun enough.
It's fun enough.
Yeah, that actually kind of teases what we're going to be doing, which...
It's
you
true.
Want to say it?
I just want to comment really quickly on this. I won't go too much into what I was going to say. All I will say is that if this is a show, which I'm kind of hoping it is, there's so many things that they could do with it. Like, they could have one season dedicated to one of Gamera's opponents, or it could be a Monster of the Week thing, or it could be they do Gaios first in one season, and then every other monster in the second season. I don't know if they would do that. It could be a continuation of the Heisei trilogy, which I don't know if it will be. I think Kaneko might have been wanting to do a proper conclusion to the Heisei trilogy when he was pitching his ideas to Katiko. He's like, hey, you know how I left that big fuck you ending for Gamera 3 that was very inconclusive? Hey, can I like finish that off so that people could be happy? And Kaneko was like, sorry, bro, you just missed your chance. We're here with this right now. And Kaneko's all like, oh, that's cool. Have fun with that. I'm gonna go get high.
I guess. But, I'll be honest, I really hope it's not a continuation from older series, because I'd rather start fresh with a new take on Gamera, just because it's been almost 20 years since those last movies. It's like, unless you're a diehard fan that continually rewatches them, starting over from this, it's like, wait, what's all this other stuff that happened? Where do I go to watch those things? Because it's hard to find those other movies online. Like, unless you actually look online to find them, they're not easily accessible.
Actually, they are. If you Google the name of the movies, there's a little sidebar that will show you what streaming services they're available on. And except for Gamera the Brave, all the Gamera movies, Showa and Heisei, are currently free to watch with ads on Tubi. So if anyone's interested in that, it's a video streaming service.
I repeat, who has Tubi?
I have Tubi.
I mean, I don't.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
So it looks like they are currently available on Amazon Prime as well, but that tends to shift pretty quickly. So I don't think it has all of them.
For sure. I feel like they could do it. Like they could do it if they like make mention of it, and they also maybe do some recaps, because there's a show that came out in 2014, I think it was, called SSSS Gridman, which was an anime that was actually a secret sequel to a tokusatsu show from Super Riot called Gridman Hyper Agent. And despite being a secret sequel, it was still able to stand on its own and be enjoyed by people who never even heard of Gridman, never watched any sort of tokusatsu, anything. If the writers of this Gamera project are as clever as the writers of SSSS Gridman, then they'd be able to do a sequel that can also stand on its own.
Perhaps
that's my honest belief.
Fair, but if this is going to be on Netflix, it's reaching a wide audience at the start. So they'd want to
So did the Gridman anime.
I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying that since Gamera is going to be released on Netflix, it either has to be paired with the other Gamera movies on Netflix to tie it together easily, or it has to stand alone on its own, because people don't like doing homework. Either way, we're just theorizing all this, and we've done this before.
Yeah, it's true. We have no insights on what this is going to be. We are just giving what we know in our own little takes. So, really, it's Gamera. He's back. He's neat and full of turtle meat. Be happy. Yes.
I am happy.
And also there was
I am not happy about what we're about to do.
Yeah, there was a little 14-second teaser for this on Twitter that also didn't really reveal anything, except for the fact that they're most likely going to use Gamera's iconic roar instead of replacing it with stock roars like they did in Gamera the Brave. And thank God for that.
I mean,
but now it's time to. Oh yeah, I'd say it's on par there with Godzilla's. But yeah, now let's get into the meat of what this podcast is supposed to be. In celebration for this movie coming out, we are going to be ranking all the Gamera movies that have been released up till now.
It's a tier list video.
And in case you're wondering, Forgotten Pharaoh is absolutely ecstatic for this idea. Yeah. Can't you tell just how happy he is?
Yep, so happy. So very, very happy. I am currently getting ready to jump out the window. I grew up with Godzilla. I was happy with Godzilla. When I learned what Gamera was, I thought, cool, another giant monster. And then I was introduced to the term of Kenny's, and I've hated it ever since.
Yes, Kenny's did bog down the mass majority of the Showa series. And even then, I still think there are fatal flaws with the Showa series as a whole, including, but not limited to inferior special effects compared to the Godzilla movies. Because seriously, for the majority, if you take the Gamera movies, the Showa Gamera movies, and put them next to the Showa Godzilla movies that were released the same year, you'll notice a stark difference in quality.
It's a night and day difference. Like, Gamera movies were a staple part of Mystery Science Theater 3000, a channel designed to make fun of
which I keep referencing
movies. That's where these Gamera movies are located.
And then someone named Shusuke Kaneko came along in the 90s, and it's like, I'm gonna take this silly ass, cheesy ass, fake looking turtle, and I'm gonna turn him into a fucking icon, and gave us the Heisei trilogy.
That was very impressive how he pulled that off.
And then Kadokawa bought Dai in the 2000s. It's just like, we got Gamera, let's make a movie with him. And then they just sort of fucked off after that. So this is kind of spoilers, a little bit of spoilers for our ranking of these movies, but you want to know what order these suck or are awesome. So we're going to give it to you. Forgotten Pharaoh, how do you think we should do this?
Let's do like movie order and rank them one at a time. Like, they came out, like, which movie came out in like that release period, and we'll go from there. So,
okay, then I guess we're gonna start with the Showa movies.
Yeah, I think I can be able to. Actually, yeah. So we'll go over each one, and I'll give you the list off to help out. All right, just for my own punishment doing this. So the very first Gamera movie was Gamera the Giant Monster in 1965. What's the basic synopsis on this one?
After a dogfight between American planes and Russian planes, one that causes one of the Russian planes to crash that was carrying an atomic bomb in the Arctic, and it releases Gamera from his icy prison, and then he just goes around doing what giant prehistoric turtles that can fly and eat fire do. That's really the main crux of the story, and the fact that, well, people try to stop him.
Of course.
It's about as basic of a monster movie plot as you can get. Oh, and there's an annoying little shit kid throughout it named Kenny. I know he wasn't named Kenny in the original Japanese version, but they called him Kenny in the Americanized version, and it's because of him we have the term Kennys when referring to certain annoying little brats in the kaiju genre.
Yes. So every time we refer to someone as a Kenny, it means it is a child actor or a child character that somehow takes the main stage as the protagonist and usually pushes the story along, or knows everything, or has all the plot points, all the Deus Ex Machinas to make the story move forward. It's super annoying. It panders to little kids, which as a kid, sure, it's wonderful, but sucks. It just sucks. But
I'll say straight up, I didn't like any of these brats even when I was a kid watching these movies. I was just like, why are you here?
Yeah. All right, so how about this? 1, 2,
and that's
3, 4, 5. All right, so in a 1 to 5 ranking, based on that, like based on what you know of it, how would you rank the first Gamera movie?
Everything within me feels like I should give it like a 2, but at the same time, if you take it at face value, despite some hiccups, it's really middle of the road. It's because the plot is so bare bones and basic. Like, there's no really big active character developments, and a lot of the things that they explain about Gamera, you have to sort of take it at face value. And it doesn't do, except for Gamera being revealed like he can fly. There's no, and the ending where they shoot him into outer space to Mars. There's nothing too overly WTF. It's just sort of basic monster movie tropes, and then a little shit kid in between them that really hinders the movie. So I guess I would say the first Gamera is a 3. Yeah.
I will actually agree with you on that. The first one, understandably, is kind of going off of the success of Godzilla, and they're trying to do a different variant of it, which I'm pretty okay with. You are correct, it does just have a bunch of similar monster tropes going for it. The little kid is annoying, but it is interesting, and it is different enough where it's like, you know what, this still stands up as just a separate, different type of monster. As a flying, fire-breathing turtle, that stands out compared to all the weird shark movies, several of the weird octopus movies, or the Kong movies. It's like, this is still unique enough that it could still be interesting. And some of these future movies are interesting because of that concept. So I will give you that. It is a solid middle-of-the-road 3. So the next one is Gamera versus Barugan. What's the plot of this one?
Well, first of all, I'd say this is actually probably one of the best Showa movies, if not the best Showa movie. You know what? It is the best Showa of the Showa movies. And one of the big reasons why? No kiddies!
That is fair.
Yeah, there's not a single fucking kid in this movie. And as unique as Gamera is, Barugan is just as unique, even though the suit is even less convincing than Gamera's, I must admit. The overall design, in theory, is nice, but the actual execution wasn't that hot, which you could say that about the mass majority of the Showa movies.
Fair.
Oh, I guess I should preface this by saying the basic idea for the Showa movies are not bad. A lot of them could have been good, but the piss poor execution is what bogs them down. Thankfully, this one's not so bad. We actually have a compelling new monster and a compelling human story to go with it, or at least I find it compelling. We have these very Indiana Jones-esque treasure hunters that go to this weird-ass island that one of the hunter's brothers had a map to, but he can't go because, well, he's crippled. He was crippled, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. Seriously, the guy walks around the movie with a crutch. Mm-hmm. So they go and they find the treasure, which turns out to be an egg, and that egg hatches and becomes Barugan, who starts attacking Japan, and then Gamera shows up for a bit, and then Barugan gets to show off his very unique powers, which includes shooting an ice stuff, freezing thing out of his tongue. Can't call it a breath because it's technically coming out of his tongue. And then he has that cool-ass rainbow beam that shoots out of his back.
I was waiting for you to
awesome.
say that. That was the one thing I always took from this, is like, wow, a monster made a rainbow deadly.
Taste the rainbow, motherfucker!
That was, that alone surprised me. I'm like, oh, I didn't know rainbows explode things. That's fascinating and wonderful.
Right. So, yeah, it does do some wackiness, but not nearly as much wackiness as the Showa Gamera movies would be known for later. A lot of people I find who do like these movies tend to prefer the later movies because they get so wacky and cheesy. And James Rolfe himself, the AVGN, even said that he considers this one of the lesser movies because they play it so straight, and he prefers the more zany movies, which, to each their own.
Yes. So where would you rank this one?
Everything within me wants to say say 4, because given the limited resources they had to work with, and given what the Showa series would become later on, they managed to pull it off pretty damn well, all things considered. But the bad effects, especially even for back then, just holds it back so much. So I think it would be another 3, if I'm being honest.
Okay, so 3.4, so 3 but ahead of the first one?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
I guess 3.5. What about you? You I've been talking this whole time. You give your own take on it.
So you're the Gamera expert, so I'm open to just letting you go on about it and just be backup dancer. But from what I remember with this, after watching it within the past week, I remember that rainbow beam stands out. Humans kind of give up really quickly in these Gamera movies. There's a running theme I've seen where humans give up way too easily. And there's a specific scene in this where Barugan shoots his rainbow beam and humans use a mirror to reflect it back at it. And it injures it. And they're like, all right, cool, let's get ready to do it again. But they're like, no, Barugan won't do it again because he knows what injured him. And they just quit with the mirror. And it's like, you sure? It might work again. Animals make mistakes more than once.
You seriously not even gonna give it a try?
They didn't. They used it once. They said, oh, okay, it worked. He's not gonna do it again. Well, we can't do anything anymore. And they just throw their hands up saying they quit. I'll give the military.
I guess I've never seen.
I'll give the military in every Godzilla movie. They try. I know they fail, but they try. the military and Gamera movies quit straight up. Like, well, we've done everything we could do. Like, you did one thing. Yeah, that was it. That's all we got. That being said, I would actually give this, a 3.5 kind of fits because, there's no Kenny, which means I was able to pay attention to it. It's funny how the humans give up with it. I love archaeology-based things, so having Baragon be this hidden creature that just hatches from an egg and come out of nowhere works out really interesting. And Death Rainbow, that by itself kind of puts it in an upper class of things for me, because the only other time I've seen Death Rainbow is Mechagodzilla's eye beams, which were also rainbows, and I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, another Taste the Rainbow moment.
Yup. He also had kneecap missiles. He was also armed to the literal teeth. So I'm like, he will always stand out, but Baragon stands out for me because he's got Rainbow Beam. But yeah, I agree with you,
sure.
3.5. I'm surprised. We're not, you know what, maybe this is where we start changing a little bit. So the next one is Gamma versus Gyaos. How do you pronounce that? Gyaos? I say Gyaos.
I think it's either or. I've heard both pronunciations. So just keep on saying what you want to say.
Okay then. So what are both pronunciations? Just so people are listening.
Gyaos and Gauss.
Okay, thank you. So Gamma versus Gyaos, the weird giant bird thing. Give us Gamera Lore Master. How describe this movie, please?
A volcano starts erupting. That's literally how the movie opens. A volcano starts erupting next to this village in the mountains. Yes. And then Gamera is attracted to it because, well, he eats fire. I guess that means he eats lava, too. Who knew? He's all about that shit. So he goes in there, and, like, at the same time, there's these people in this village nearby in the mountains who this construction company is trying to build a highway through it. They start construction even before they had ownership of this land. They probably thought, we'll just give them a payoff, and then that'll be it. And the villagers are like, no, that's not it. We're not going to sell you our land. This is a secret ploy because they secretly want them to up the price. It's like, oh, you want to give us your land when we gave you, offered you $100 and a ham sandwich? No. How about Chief Fitty? And so, with that, and then all of a sudden, a fucking giant vampire bat pterodactyl thing that can shoot rays that cuts things in half shows up in the same area right the fuck out of nowhere and like tries to grab this one kid. Yes, a kid. The Kennys have returned with and they are back with a vengeance.
No.
And then Gamera's like, hey, that kid's my friend. Leave him alone. What do you mean this kid's your friend? You haven't even seen him until now. Let me eat this motherfucker. And Gamera's like, how about no? And then it turned into Mortal Kombat. And then the movie from there divulges into the military trying to stop Gauss and it not working. And then Gamera shows up every once in a while until the final climax where it ends up being Gamera who stops Gauss. Because everybody knows the only thing that can stop a giant monster is another giant monster.
Just so you guys know.
And then,
just so you guys know, you fucking suck. You're gay as hell. I want Gojin
and then,
back.
what the
Okay,
fuck?
whatever. That was a weird echo. But this is the movie where things started getting the Gamera formula of basic plot. Monster shows up. Gamera fights monster. Gamera loses. Goes comatose for a little bit. Humans come up with an idea to stop monster. It fails. Humans give up. Gamera starts fighting. Child is cheerleading in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is where that starts.
This is basically the proto Showa Gamera movie is right here.
Just
And
so you guys know,
also,
that
another
was me, I
element
was
is
fucking
introduced.
with ya.
Becky,
Greetings. Are you going to join us now?
Perhaps, but just so you guys know, that was me. I was fucking with you.
I thought so. It's like, why does that sound familiar? Where it's like, all right, whatever.
You guys just went on doing your own thing. I just finished meditation. So.
I saw the name Beetlejuice, and it's like I didn't even say your name, not even once. Why are you here, Beetlejuice?
That's what I thought too. It's like you're breaking your own rules.
But what we were doing again?
Have you come back?
Yes.
Okay.
So right now we're on Gamera
Yeah,
versus
I guess
Gyaos,
we're
and we're
you're
Just
rating
go,
them
we
is
know
more
the basic premise of it. So now we're
on
going
a scale of
into
1 to 5.
where it's going to be ranked.
Okay, so I'll take this by memory. Do I get caught up by going to a brief analysis of what I missed, or I just go on this thing?
Yeah, you can just go on this right now because we're not going on the past movies. I refuse to go backwards on those.
Yeah, we're
Okay,
doing a
so-
Gamera
We got worse
versus
ones
Gauss,
ahead.
and I was
just
about to
wanna plow
mention
through
how
So versus Gauss.
Yes.
Versus Gauss, in my opinion, is definitely one of the better Showa entries. It's not great, but it's overall good. You do have a kid in it, but the kid I remember being one of the more tolerable out of these Showa films. However, if there's one thing I could give, Gamera was cool. It still had that silly, cheesy kids movie thing going, but combined with a still somewhat more serious narrative, it was just slowly drifting away from that Showa Godzilla feel that Barugan created. And overall, if I was to say anything about that, I do enjoy it. The Gamera design is cool, and I remember the characters overall being fine. Nothing incredible, but a good movie. Probably the second best Showa film.
So you'd put it at 4?
In terms of the Showa era,
Mm-hmm.
it would be the second best Showa film.
Okay. Well, right now we're ranking them on a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 scale. Just
I don't think I don't.
so
think
on a scale of 1 to 5.
4, I'd say.
yeah.
Because for me, 3 is average.
Yeah, that's how we've that's the general consensus we've had. The first 2 are about average. So okay, that's fair. Cody, how our Gamera lore master? What do you say?
I would rank this another 3.5, like Gamera versus Barugan, because it's a lot like Barugan in that it doesn't do anything inherently wrong. Like, it does the best it can with the resources Dai had at the time, and it's just that they didn't have very good resources, so they couldn't make better suits and practical effects and shit. They did
Barugan's?
do some wacky stuff, like
Barugan's? Honestly, in my personal opinion, if I was to say about Barugan, I actually think that's the best Showa era film, in my personal opinion. Mind if I go on about that for a bit?
Barugan? Yeah, you missed it.
Yeah, Barugan I think is the best Showa film, mainly because, well, again, the characters by memory are just serviceable. When it comes to the overall feel of how the story moves, the characters progress and stuff like that, it feels more like a Showa Godzilla film, while the first movie was trying to be Gojira, but more kid-friendly. That one was more on a serious side, and Gamera, he felt more like a beast just trying to protect his territory and stuff like that. And Barugan, in my personal opinion, while you could definitely tell the budget was lower than something like Godzilla, I think he was overall a pretty decent kaiju. And the fight by memory, it also had a more tribalistic vibe to it, like how Gamera by memory is kind of trying to use an intimidation display against Barugan. And if there's anything else I could say, the music I remember liking, and overall I just really enjoyed it. So I say Barugan by memory. I have to rewatch it. A 4 out of 5. Best of the Showa era, in my personal opinion.
All right, fair enough. So we kind of settled on those. Can you guys see my screen or no?
Yeah. Since I went on about Barugan, might as well get caught up on the original in a concise manner. The original, I thought was a decent movie. You could definitely tell what they were trying to rip off was Gojira, but decided to go a more kid-friendly route to go its own direction. The kid was an annoying little dick, and Gamera just saving him out of nowhere just felt out of character compared to what he was doing, and stuff like that. But as a whole, you did have some really good effects for the time. The destruction was decent, and I think, and in my opinion, I think it kills the time well enough. I don't really do the point thing, so when I give something a 3 out of 5, I give a 5 out of 10 on a movie. So since I give this a 6 out of 10 in my normal review, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5, since if I was to review it normally, it would be a 6.
Fair enough. Well, this is kind of going by whatever, but let's go with this. I can change this. All right. So that's fair. That's a good score with it. I will agree going into it. This one starts getting that Gamera formula in. The kid is annoying, but Gauss is such a popular monster that I kind of give this one a little bit of that pass because it's interesting. its beam, it looks super flat, which honestly adds to its weird charm, where I'm like other beams have some effect going into it. Gauss's beam just looks like a paint line going.
Yeah, there's definitely that. I think at this time, they were either putting more of their budget in Daimajin, or the thing about Daimajin is Daimajin was a more godly-like beast. He looked more like a statue, so it may have been easier to do that. But yeah,
How do we get on Daimajin?
We'll do that another time.
I brought up Daimajin because I was saying that I think at the time, Dai may have put more of their budget towards that, but then on the other hand, Daimajin's design is more simple than a lot of the stuff you'd find in Gamera, since he's just a samurai-like god thing.
Although Gamera's creatures are pretty creative as they go.
Yeah, exactly. Though if you were to ask me Daimajin or any of the Showa Gamera films, Daimajin.
That's fair, but we can do him the whole other time. But
yeah,
right now, I would kind of settle on Gyaos at like a high 3, low 4, just cause like he's a fun enough monster that it's interesting seeing him go. The kid is annoying, but I don't hate it yet. Like I don't dislike it, but it's starting to show it's getting a little grating. And this is also the point where humans are like, yep, we tried one thing and failed. It's like you came up with a weird idea to smoke him, sort of. I don't even know how to, I don't know how to describe it. Like he perched on something that released a mist that he just sat on while it started spinning, and when that didn't work anymore, they're like, well, that was all we had. I'm like you guys could do anything else in this scenario. I was like, nope, there's nothing else we can do. We just gotta wait for Gamera. We're just waiting for Gamera.
Actually, yeah. I will have to respectfully disagree, because if you go and look back, their final plan actually involves Gamera. They're like, let's do what we can to draw Gamera to Gaios, and that's by making a big forest fire, because, well, Gamera eats fire. So it does. I see what you're saying, but if you stop to think about it,
terrible
they do
strategy.
go on to another. It worked.
It does, but it's also at a pretty high cost of things. And plus, he just ends up showing up, and he doesn't technically kill Gauss. He drags him into the volcano, which he was born from.
They never say for sure if he was born in the volcano or not. He just happened to be there when it started going boom. You came out of the volcano.
I did. Like that's the thing. It's like, all right, so he came out of the volcano, and they beat him by putting him back in. That makes sense, but they're like, yeah, he's dead now. Like, why is he dead? What makes you think he's dead? He started from there. This is where my brain starts hurting with these movies. Again, I'm giving it that 3. Maybe a little less than Barugan, but because you guys are talking about it highly, I'll give it the high end of 3 still.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm
not sure if I'm going to be doing this 3 out of 5 score, though, since I'm not really good at the whole 1 to 5 thing, since, for example, 1 to 10 for me, I treat very different. So 1 to 5 just feels very limiting to me. So I'll probably just give my perspective on ones that are better. Right now, the best we talked about is Badugans. Gyaos.
Well, after Gyaos is Gamera versus Gears, which we were just about to get into.
Yeah, so Gyaos is slightly below.
That movie sucks.
Gyaos is slightly below Badugans, but still solid. And then slightly below that is the original film.
So the next one is Gamera versus Virus, which this and the next few they just frustrate me. But Lore Master, please, the plot of this movie.
Who?
There's these me.
Yes.
Hello? Okay. These aliens are traveling through space in this twirling honeybee butt spaceship thing.
Boy, you cut off.
Gamera are played with a.
We're losing the Lore Master.
All I heard is Gamera starts playing with us. That sounds inappropriate, Cody.
Shut your whore mouth, Joey.
Lore Master,
it's not my fault. I have shit connection.
We lost connection.
Okay, so Gamera destroys the bumblebee butt spaceship. Then we cut to some Boy Scouts who are playing with a submarine, and then Gamera shows up and he plays with the boys, and then the boys get kidnapped in this bumblebee butt spaceship. And then, like, we go through the whole bunch of stock footage from the other movies. Then they gain control of Gamera and have him attack the Earth, which is purple and red stock footage from the original movie, which was in black and white. And then, like, the kids break him free from their control, and then make the ship crash or something. And then, like, all the
control. I remember they reversed the control on Gamera. That when they order Gamera to kill the children, it orders. The reverse of killing kids is attack the ship.
Reverse the polarity.
Yep, that's exactly what happens. Reverse the polarity, and it does what you need to.
And then the aliens combine into a giant alien squid monster thing named Virus. And then Gamera fights him in a really shitty fight that has creative ideas but are poorly executed. The whole time, there's two kids are there, and they're just shouting Gamera over and over again. And it's really fucking annoying. And holy shit, does this movie suck!
All right, cool. I like where this is going. that is all my complaints wrapped up in one.
Gamera versus Virus, in my opinion,
what happens?
Gamera versus Virus is
like that looks like a bumblebee's butt.
Gamera vs. Virus is a very fucking ridiculous movie. The kids are absolutely irritating, and Brendan Tennant, I think, described him best. He looks like fucking Squidward, but
without the nose.
But something I will say, outside of the annoying fucking kids, it does have its goofy Showa charm if you're in the right mood, but you have to be in the headspace to really get into enjoyment out of it. But generally, it's not one I'll turn on unless I'm rewatching the entire series, which I own both sets, both sets, the Heisei and Showa. I'm happy to own those. Those are my fucking babies. But that's something I will say is when I am watching it in a marathon,
you're fucking babies.
Gross.
But
no.
It's nothing I hate watching when it's on. It's something I could turn on and just enjoy as a stupid monster movie geared towards kids that does a lot of ridiculous things. And I think it knows what it is for the most part. It's very simplistic and over the top, but that doesn't shield it from criticism of the stock footage, which is very poorly used, as you very much can tell when they're using it. And also the kids. They suck, they're annoying, they do stupid shit, and I don't like the actors playing them.
Yep. Alright, so in your scale of 1 to 10, and I'll just kind of fit it down to ours, where would you put it in 1 to 10?
If I was to rank this film, if I'd say objectively a 5, but with my entertainment added, I give it a 6 because I enjoy it, but if I remove the entertainment aspect, it would be a 5.
Alright. So,
but with enjoyment, a 6.
All right, so that would be like mid 3 for you.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I know you well enough that I can figure out where your tier ranking is. Lore Master, where would you put this one?
There's literally only one thing I enjoy about this movie. One thing that actually gets a chuckle out of me is when Virus is stabbing into Gamera with his sharp-pointed head, which other times look like a peeled banana, and then Gamera starts flying upwards, and then he starts spinning around and around, and then it makes Virus's tentacles wave out at the sides, and it just looks so fucking ridiculous.
And that's the charm of it.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's the charm of it, though. It looks stupid.
It's like that's weird as hell, but you know what? They're doing it.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy some of the Showa Gamera films for what they are, is I think they know they're ridiculous and they just kind of embrace it. And I think the later in the Showa era of Godzilla films, they tried to do that to an extent, but held off to the levels that Gamera went.
Lord Master, where are you putting this one? I agree with you, actually,
because I do think Gamera kind of goes too far with it.
Yeah.
Lower 2 for sure.
All right, that's the
actually
first
high 2. Actually, I would say of the 2.
That's the only 2 currently. I would throw it in the trash, but there's no trash option, and I don't think you guys let me have that. So I will concede this one, and I'll put it high 2, low 3. All right, next one is Gamera versus Gurion. This one, Knifehead. Gamera versus Knifehead.
My opinion on this one is I think I like it a little better than Virus. It's not much better, but if I remember correctly, I remember the two villains. I remember them being pretty fun for what they were. They were very simplistic, but the actresses seem to have been enjoying their time as them. They're not the lead auxilian in Final Wars, but
No, I mean, he was campy, but he was having fun.
he was having so much fun, and that's a great actor, by the way. He is, because I've seen him in a movie called Killers, where I absolutely hated him for all the right reasons. So that's a great actor. He can do two things.
Yes. He's a very good actor.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Before we get into it, Lore Master, what is this movie about?
Hello?
What is Gamera versus Knifehead about?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know you told Miss Kaiser to
Gira.
get the dick out of your mouth so you can speak.
Joey, mind your business, all right? Mind your business.
The fact he doesn't say
Okay,
he's not.
so what it is
makes
is-
me-
Yeah.
I hate you all.
We love you too.
Anyway,
Lore Master, plot synopsis.
it's about two kids. Well, three kids technically. One's an annoying little brat of a sister. Then there's these two boys that are just annoying. One of them is obsessed with traffic accidents. The other one's obsessed with going into space. They find a spaceship and they go on it and they take it into space. Then they have a space race with Gamera. And then they land on a planet and there's a silver Gaios there for some reason. And then G.N.O comes out of the ground and chops up the space Gaios into itty bitty pieces. Then they meet these alien girls who want to eat their brains. And then Gamera shows up and he has a goofy ass fight with G.N.O, who almost kills him. Then the kids realize that they're going to get their brains eaten, so they run away. And it turns into Japanese Home Alone in space, starring Gamera. And then, there's another fight with Gamera and G.N.O that's even more ridiculous than the first one. And it's amazingly bad. It's so entertainingly goofy. And then Gamera wins. He takes the kids back to Earth, and then this kid makes this dumbass speech about being good and no traffic accidents. And yeah,
That's right. There's a lesson in this movie of be good, don't get into traffic accidents. Where these kids went into space and hijacked a spaceship and saw a monster with a giant knife head decapitate another giant monster and had its face blown up with a nuke.
yes.
If I was to describe this one, like I said, the two aliens, as I said earlier, they were a lot of fun and they served this simple plot. The kids, you're gonna be hearing this a lot. I fucking hate the children. I think they're awful. They're annoying. They do stupid shit. I'm not gonna be I want to make this clear. My points here are not gonna be the most in-depth because, first of all, we're doing a podcast. I'm going off raw. Just like Cody's going raw in Abyss Kaiser.
Hey, look, alright, our lore master is doing an excellent job breaking these things down, okay? He is very accurate on what these movies are about.
But outside of that, it's also been a bit since I've watched them, and I think I'm gonna have to give them another watch before I do the in-depth reviews on my channel. So I want to make that clear that before someone's going, oh, this Gojin guy sucks, it's like, I'm going off in a concise manner of the little bit I have on the top of my head. Cut me some slack.
Just go with it, okay? Just go with it.
Okay, but
Gojin has a tiny head.
yeah, the kids, they fucking suck. They're gonna suck throughout the series until one entry, which we'll get to that later, and stuff like that. But I did like Yudon. I thought he was unique. He's still goofy, but I thought that from outside what they did of this very knife-like shark, he's kind of like a prototype Knifehead, which may have been the intention for Knifehead in Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim, which is obviously a better movie.
I mean, it might be, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't even make those
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but like I said, I thought he was cool. The type of battle with a shark with a knife-like thing was creative. You could tell they were limited in budget, but outside of that, they still did what they could with it, and it was overall pretty entertaining. And I think there was a silver Gyaos in this one, or is that another?
Yes, there was.
Yeah. WoW is just a painted version of the normal one. In my personal opinion, I thought it kind of worked for the story, as it was pretty cool to find out that there's some versions of these things in space, and he looks more galactic than what we got on Earth. But if I was to rank it, it's fun, simple, dumb. I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay. So that's like mid 4 in this area.
Yeah.
It's like mid 4 and 3.5 again. These are all pretty mid, I've noticed. But
Yeah, I don't think they're as awful as some people would make them out to be, but they ain't great either. The closest to come to great is Barugan's, I think.
Alright, yeah, that is fair. I agree with you in that. Unfortunately, the Kennys are multiplying. They're getting worse. My brain hurts while watching this one. The fighting itself is probably the biggest hook I had, because the entire time I'm like, what the hell is happening? When Gamera is like swinging on the weird pole and like
Fucking yes.
flying away and then getting hit, and flying away and getting hit. I'm like, what is happening? Why is this happening? My brain hurts going through this. This is another movie that I would put in the trash if I could. But
Basically, if you like that goofy shit at the end of Godzilla vs. Hedorah when he was flying with his atomic breath, this series has a fuck ton of that.
yeah, that's the best way of putting it.
Or
Like,
Godzilla's
it's
drop
not
kicking
get
Godzilla
high
vs.
or
Megalon.
drunk and watch something
Yeah.
that you might not think was real. That's what this is.
And luckily, I'm a fan of that type of schlock.
My
I just
brain
don't-
can only handle so much.
I'm just not one of those people that think that the entire kaiju genre is schlock. That's utter bullshit.
Well, yeah, but like, don't give credit to like absolutism. That's difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I agree. with
That
you on
doesn't take into account a lot of the nuances with each film. So
Yeah.
with your entry, you're giving it like a 4. My entry brings it down to like a 3 or a 2.
Yeah.
Because I'm throwing it in the trash. Lore Master, where like you decide where this ends up going in between these.
This is a bad movie, but it's an enjoyably bad movie. I like the concepts that they have in this. They're good ideas, but they're so piss poorly executed for a multitude of reasons. But the execution, for the most part, is so bad that it's enjoyably bad. So I can't bring myself to hate this much as Virus. I actually think it is better than Virus. So I'm having a hard time saying if it's a high 2 or low 3. So I guess we'll do low 3.
Low 3 it is. I believe that is fair. Because I will concede, realizing that my opinion is the outlier in this. All right,
No,
what is
I totally understand your takes. They're perfectly valid. It's just that, again, I'm able to enjoy how bad a lot of these are.
Yes, and,
Well,
I understand
least-
that I am being outvoted. But the next one, because we got a few more. Gamera versus Jiger. Where are you? Lore Master, how would you describe Gamera versus Jiger?
These people that are at a technology convention find this giant ass whistle. They pull it out of the ground, but that whistle was keeping another giant monster in the ground, and then it comes up out of the ground and starts doing some shit. Then Gamera shows up, and at first these kids don't like him for some reason. I totally forgot. I don't care. And then they like him again when he starts fighting Jiger. Then Jiger impregnates its baby into Gamera, and then these kids take a submarine into Gamera, and they find baby Jiger, and they kill it through sound, because apparently it can't stand sonic vibrations. It's true. Jiger is a symbiote. And then there's a second fight, and they start fighting each other. Then Gamera fucking stabs that bitch in the face with the whistle, and then
The Expo is saved.
that's basically
The
what
Expo
happened.
is
A lot of
saved.
goofiness in between too. Jiger's a cool looking monster. Yes,
That's the end of this movie.
yes, the Expo's saved.
Yes, that nothing else except the Expo is saved. Joey, what's your thoughts?
It's okay. Like, Jigger, for my opinion, he's a serviceable monster. He's nothing terrible, but he kind of lacks the creativity of a lot of what the other monsters had. Whether or not you are a fan of them, he just seems kind of there. But he's not ugly. He just...
Jiger's a girl.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a girl in the movie, of course.
No, he's saying that
No.
Jiger is female because it impregnated Gamera. Wait, how does that work?
Well, you see, floodle me floony floob, floony flavy flivy floob.
Okay. All right, thank you for clearing that up.
But if I had to say about it, like I said, it's
Happy to
okay.
help.
Like I can't even remember. Like, I think the thing about this movie is it doesn't really do much that's outstanding. Like, I can't even remember much of the story other than there's a foreign guy at the beginning, and it says in subtitles foreign fucking language instead of translating that in English. But that's not the movie's
That's when you
fault.
know a
That's-
movie's being lazy. It just says foreign language being spoken.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing is, like I said, a lot of it seems like they didn't really go any crazy levels. Again, this is just me going loosely off memory, but everything about this movie, in my opinion, is just passable by memory. Like, there's nothing that's outstandingly bad, but nothing that's offensively bad, but nothing that's outstandingly good either. I'd give it a 5 out of 10 if memory serves me right. It's average.
That's the middle of the mid with 3.
Yeah.
That being said, I do not think you are truly taking into account this expo. Because the whole movie was based on saving this expo. Everything was for that expo. Gamera shows up. You have to save the expo, Gamera. The monster shows up. It's gonna destroy the expo. Nothing else mattered except that expo.
It was basically the cliched save the school plot, but done with the expo.
No, you can't be done with the expo. That was the main point of this movie. That was the only thing that.
And I guess I forgot to mention something in the lore explaining.
You mean
There
your
is
mom's in it?
a very shut up. There is a scene of documentary footage where they actually show an elephant's trunk getting slit open to get rid of a parasite in the trunk, as sort of a where they're like comparing what happened to Gamera, where he got impregnated by Jiger, and they're like, it's totally like what happened here, and they show it in full detail. It's overly gruesome, for kids.
You know what would be an easier comparison? A parasite, just an actual parasite, and how it actually lays eggs inside of a host, or what insects do, where they lay an egg inside of their prey, which then hatches inside of them, because insects actually do that. But no, slit the trunk of an elephant, traumatized kids for the rest of their lives. Sure, why not? The journey into Gamera is a cool idea. I will give them that. I hate that it is once again dealt with multiple Kennys that, again, goes in the trash. I ain't dealing with this.
One more thing I want to say. Cody,
so technically between those ratings, that gives this a 1 or a 2. Lore Master, your pick.
Oh, but first, Cody, I have something to say. The elephant trunk is quite a weird way to describe slicing your cock open.
Of course. Yeah, you gotta get that one dig in, don't you?
Yes.
So proud of that. You're so proud of that, yes.
Yeah.
Lore Master, we need you to finalize this.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear
I get
us.
to rank these lower. Without him, I get to rank them lower.
I'm talking. Shut up.
Damn it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Joey's a bitch. Okay. Calm down, Junior. The adults are talking right now. So, I like Jiger. I think that compared to all the other monsters that have been featured so far, it's actually probably the best suit to walk four-legged. It actually walks on all 4 feet, which is an feat. And but it's not really enough to like very annoying Kennys in the Gamera movie. God, I can't talk for shit. Fucking A. And I would say it's a high 2. It's just sort of
high 2. Okay, so that I guess that really settles. That goes in the 2 then. So what's the next one?
Yes.
The next one is Gamera versus Zigra.
Okay. Well, Lore Master first.
Yes. We must have plot for this.
Cody.
There's an attack on the moon. The spaceship and inside is the sloppy seconds from Gamera versus Virus or Guiron, whatever. And there's a shark head on it that's covered in cobwebs. And then there's this girl in it who's supposedly an alien, but it turns out she's under mind control. And she walks through half the movie in a bikini, which is nice because she's hot. And then there's some annoying Kennys, and their parents work at SeaWorld, Japan SeaWorld, whatever. And then Gamera's there too, and then he fights Zigra, and he plays the xylophones on Zigra's back, and I don't know. This movie fucking sucks. I don't like it at all.
To be honest, I like it better than the last one, to be completely honest.
You do?
Yeah, I like it a little better than the last one, because the last one, just by memory, is just kind of in the middle. Zigra I think is a neat little kaiju. Like, for what he is, the design is simple enough, and I overall found a shark. I think that's what he is, kind of. Monster to be more. Zigra's a shark, isn't he?
I mean, kind of. He is an undersea monster that can stand very well on his back fins.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of a breath of fresh air because even other sea kaiju, even the Godzilla series has not touched something like this, and overall I just found it to be cool. I remember enjoying the fight between the two, and also again, the plot is simple enough. You have this typical alien mind control plot, and there's no plot holes or anything I can think of. It's basically very straightforward. And when it comes to the alien chick, I'm gonna be completely honest, seeing her walk around in a bikini throughout the movie, that was nice fan service for us older viewers. So that raises it up. It was enjoyable. The context for the situation was goofy, but like outside of the hot chick, like even the context for why it was there had a nice little goofy like reason for it that made overall entertaining in my personal opinion. And as a whole, if I remember correctly, it has a more summer-like vibe going for it. So if you're wanting to watch if you're into summer and you're wanting to watch a kaiju movie in that spirit, I think this one does offer it. And as a whole, by memory, I'll give it a 6. Like, I can't really give a proper score right now, but a 6 I think is reasonable. I had fun with it.
Alright, that's fair. So I kind of in a more or less like a high 3, low 4 in this case. Once again, this one goes in the trash because humans give up even faster with this movie. Where, what was it? At one point, these people get trapped in a biosphere underwater, and Zigra? I'm even forgetting this stupid monster's name. Yeah, Zigra is like, I have these people trapped. Do as I say or they die. And humanity's like, all right, yeah, we can't let you kill these kids, like these 3 kids. You can control Earth. And it's like, aha, I win. And then the mind control chick is like, no, you can't. Zigra will just kill them anyway. And it's like, all of you are idiots. How? It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And yes, Gamera playing Zigra like a xylophone is very funny. And apparently all they had to do is just bring him on land and just fry him. It's very easy. They didn't even bother doing that. There was a whole big fight sequence, which ended up being just bring the fish on land and fry him. This movie hurts. These hurt my brain. These hurt my soul. These personally hurt me. So once again, this one goes in the trash. So by this ranking, it's in the low 3s, high 2 level. I will give you that. Zigra is a very cool design.
Me?
You like shark monsters.
Cody.
Lore Master.
Hello?
Yep.
Question for you all.
Settle this and help us get out of the Showa era.
First, I gotta ask you all a question. How much did I cut out during my Gamera vs. Zigra synopsis?
You got the plot through. You kind of chop up every so often, but you did get the plot in there.
Yeah.
Oh, this movie sucks. It's a 1.
It's a 1? I'm okay with that being a 1.
Now, last in the Showa era, eh?
Yes. Gamera, Super Monster. Can we all agree this one goes in the trash, please?
Yes.
Yay!
I take it over Godzilla's Revenge, though.
Complete trash.
I
No way!
This. What do you mean, no way? Absolutely.
No, I'm talking to Joey. He said he takes it over Godzilla's Revenge, and I'm just like, no way.
That kid was insulting in Godzilla's Revenge, and then you had Minya.
I messed that up. Godzilla's Revenge sucks just as much also. I need to change this around because I'm messing this up. Alright, so that one, add a roll below. There we go. Now I get to do this trash. Yeah, I'm so happy I get to do this to one of these. I really do. I really am. Thank you. So explain, Lord Master, why is this movie trash?
Do we get to put Cody in there too?
I don't have an option for that.
Ladies first, Joey.
Okay, so Cody.
Wait, no. We gotta explain why this movie is trash.
Yeah, but Cody has to get
Okay.
the lore first.
Superman was popular. Star Wars was popular. Diane found out Toho was making another Godzilla movie after many years of not doing it. They want to beat them to the punch, so they have Gamera fight stock footage. There's these hot alien superhero girls, and then there's a Star Destroyer, not Star Destroyer flying in space, who's making Gamera fight stock footage, both from his own movies and from anime of some sort. And then there's like a Godzilla sign that gets knocked down while Gamera goes on a rampage temporarily. And yeah, if you don't want to watch the other movies but want to see the fights, this is the movie for you. Unless
This isn't a movie for anybody.
this
Cody
movie's
Mom,
horrible.
it's lore.
You know, like I would have an easier time watching a clip show than this.
This movie's bad. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, the story makes no sense. Like, first of all, it's treated like... I can remember this one the most because it's so bad. Like, it's treated like Gamera is a fictional character at first. And then suddenly, I can't remember what the reason is, he's real. And then you have these alien chicks that, as Cody said, are hot. And they're dressed as fucking superheroes and nothing less American superheroes. And I just never understood that. And then you have this weird ending where Gamera does something where he fucking dies, and we're supposed to sympathize with him. Like, first of all, this has nothing to do with the other film's continuity, to my understanding. I don't know, because this movie doesn't even know if knows what the lore is. The characters, there's no development between either of them. One thing I will give this movie, that one of the chicks of that superhero team did have some nice chemistry with the boy, and when she was playing the piano with him, those moments are legitimately heartwarming and enjoyable to watch. But everything else, there's so much stock footage put together on it. It's just very fucking weird. And then the alien girl, if I remember correctly, she just turns good because she got her ass beat, if I remember correctly. There's no build up for it. There's none of that. It just sort of happens. So, as a whole, I give it a 3 out of 10. Why? Because the footage that's used is still the fights that are used, if you just want to watch them, are still enjoyable if you're just wanting to see a compilation of them. That you did have chemistry between the little boy and that one girl. And I guess, I'm looking for some positive stuff to say. And I guess the stock footage...
Stop it. Don't strain yourself on this. Don't force me to live through more of this movie.
But I guess the stock footage could have been done worse, as there's lots of movies where when there's stock footage, even some Godzilla films are guilty of this, and certain Gamera films where, for example, on one of the entries, it went black, it showed the footage from the first movie, it went black and white, it clearly wasn't the same film. One thing I will give this is at least they went to these locations and such to make it where if you just showed this to somebody out of context, at least it would seem like these are new footage. But as a whole, I don't like it. I do not like this movie. Like, one thing I will give Godzilla's Revenge for its stock footage use. At least in Revenge's case, you could argue that the kid was a fan of Godzilla, and he was having dreams from those clips he used. I mean, from those clips we've seen. Here, I feel like they're ripping that one off, which why the fuck would you want to rip off Revenge to begin with? Yeah. But I didn't know if whether or not they wanted it to be in the same universe or a kid's fucking imagination. It's just this weird Frankenstein monster that just makes no goddamn sense. But yeah, it's 3 out of 10 for me.
All right, cool. That's close enough to the trash, which all of those issues. I can deal with stock footage. I can't deal with dumb plots. I can't deal with
nonsensical plot. This plot makes no sense.
Story, like just no for any of this. I don't want any of this. Just toss it in the trash. Let's get on to better and brighter things. The future looks wonderful. It's so close. I see it.
All right, here we go.
Yay.
It's time for the Lore Master to start again.
Gamera, Guardian of the Universe, the Heisei era. Sir, how would you describe what's the plot of this movie?
Thousands of years ago, the lost continent of Atlantis, or Mu, they never say which one it actually is, in their hubris, in their arrogance, creates Gaios. They actually create artificial life in the form of the Gaios to clean up their pollution. However, instead of just eating the pollution, the Gyos turn on their masters and start eating them. So, to combat this, they in their hubris make life again, this time in the form of Gamera, Guardian of the Universe. Thousands of years later, in the future of 1995, the Gyos are reawakened because we keep polluting the planet to the point where we make it habitable enough for them to reawaken from their 1,000-year slumber. Then, in direct response, Gamera awakens from his slumber and forms a connection with the daughter of Steven Seagal, making her his priestess while he fights these motherfuckers, and we get some fucking awesome special effects scenes in the process with great lighting, great angles, great music, great atmosphere, but admittedly shitty composite shots on occasion.
I don't want to say shitty composite shots. I more of say dated. That's what I would more of say, because since this is the 90s and this didn't have the budget of something like a Hollywood movie, I think they did the best they could with that. But yeah, this film, not only did it beat every Gamera story to come prior, it took the ball up to a very high standard. Kaneko and everyone involved knew what they were doing. Like, I'm all fine with films primarily targeting a younger audience. There's some really good stories that are. Hell, some of the best things in geek culture are primarily aimed at a younger demographic. But this adult-targeted entry, I just thought did incredible. They saw the potential of the concept of Gamera had, but decided to go into more of this Buddhist/Shinto-like lore with the turtle, and made a very badass design out of it that hasn't ever been matched prior. The closest to come to it beforehand was Barugon's, but even this one surpassed that. And Gyaos, in my personal opinion, outside of the googly eyes that goes on the babies, they look awesome. They look intimidating. They have this very unique and dark presence to them, and what they do is just overall very terrifying. The action sequences overall, we get some really cool combat, like when Gamera or anything fires a beam or whatever, stuff really blows the fuck up. And the effects outside of the googly eyes on the baby Gyaos all look top notch. Like Gamera himself, very lifelike. He brings a lot of emotion into his face when he opens its mouth, its head around, blinks, whatever. All of that is very lifelike. The characters, all of them, have their own arc to the story. They participate in a way. I was very interested to find out what went on with Fujitani's character. I forgot the character's name, Asagi. I was interested to going into her connection with Gamera, which I feel like her connection with Gamera was inspired by Miki Saigusa's connection.
That's exactly what I was going to touch upon, where I really like that connection. They found a way to make a Kenny important to the story, and it mattered, and I liked how it actually connected her to Gamera, where they actually relate and help one another. It's like, this is wonderful.
Yeah, like, I feel like they took inspiration from Miki with Godzilla, but done it in their own way, where it's a separate character and a separate arc, and I absolutely loved that. Like, and for speaking of the Heisei Godzilla movies, I feel like what they were going with here, they're like, the Versus series of Godzilla brought Godzilla back to his dark and mature roots. Let's take this with a more child-friendly character. Like, let me say this. Like, for example, how the Showa era of Gamera saw how Godzilla went more kid-friendly, and the Showa era of Gamera wanted to go even more kid-friendly than Godzilla did. Heisei Gamera saw how Godzilla was going adult, and Gamera decided to raise the bar on the adult factor with its Heisei series.
Being kid-friendly to a degree. Because they still have the kid character they still have the kid character who's relatable and works well with the story and ties it to the monsters. Where it's like, I actually am fascinated with what happens with her because she's linked to making sure Gamera stays capable of fighting.
Yeah, that is very, very true. And overall, Ayako Fujitani, I think, did an incredible performance to the character, and everyone I just thought did a really good job here. The lore was interesting, the build-up and all that was very good. It was phenomenal. I'm not gonna be that guy that's like, oh, the Heisei Gamera is better than a Heisei Godzilla. It's not. Both are incredible for their own reasons. I'm gonna give this a 10 out of 10. Like, masterpiece. Like, I don't want to get off topic here, but the show I'm reviewing, which also has Shinji Higuchi involved, Kamen Rider Black Sun, if I was to describe it, it's kind of like the Heisei Gamera of Kamen Rider, only more violent.
Fascinating.
We're not talking about Kamen Rider.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that that's interesting since that's a video I'm currently working on, and both have Shinji Higuchi on the visual work.
Yeah, but you're a guest this time. Cody's leading this outpost. That's why
I was just being an asshole.
But dude, I give like all credit. That is exactly how I feel. This movie raised the bar. So it's like, wow, Gamera's actually cool. I could get into this series, and I did. I made sure that when Bandai was releasing the newest, like the new Gamera figures that came from this trilogy, I made sure to get them because this was so much fun. Every time I think of Gamera or want to try and do a story, this is the one I think of specifically. The one that was created on the Lost Continent, whichever one it was, that these people somehow created him to defend themselves against their other creations. And that leads to so many cool ideas of they created Gyaos. Maybe they could have made other things somewhere. Maybe there were maybe there were other kingdoms that also made different monsters somewhere. Because Batra had that lore to him too, sort of. Like Batra was created by the Earth, but it's still the idea of these monsters are being created by something other than just being bored. And I love that idea. Like Gamera was created to defend people when that happened. And I would, throw it 5 out of 5, 9 out of 10. Amazing. I actively enjoy watching those movies where I will go back and rewatch this trilogy for the funs of it. Lord Master, what do you say? Because you're not gonna. I'm pulling it hard. You're not making me change this lower than a 5.
I agree with every single thing you guys have said. Y'all said it better than I ever could. I guess I'll just give a few little nice fun facts of bits of trivia that I have with it that are relevant to me in my personal life. First of all, this is the Gamera movie I've watched the most out of any Gamera movie. And it might actually be my absolute favorite Gamera movie because of how many times I've seen it. It's just because of how good the execution is. It's just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful movie. I would rank it a 5 too. High 5. I actually saw it recently in theaters. We have a little local theater here. It's sort of a small matinee thing, and one of the employees there wanted to do like Gamera trilogy movie thing where they show one movie from the trilogy per Saturday, and on the third Saturday when they were showing Gamera 3, it was preceded by a concert from the death metal group Oxygen Destroyer. And that performance was like right after the announcement of the new Netflix Gamera thing. I am stupid. Why do you guys even have me on this podcast?
Because you're the Gamera lore master, and none of us know.
Yeah, and we need someone to make ourselves feel better about us by bringing someone to make Hoken laugh at.
I thought that was it. Hey, wait a minute.
If you want to do that, can I just add one little thing and just so you guys see my screen still, right?
Yeah.
100%. You mind if I just kind of put these up in 5 also? Because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be
do it.
Area.
Yes.
I'm just going to bash them all together. The next one, Gamera, Attack of Legion. God, that's still so cool.
Yeah.
All right. How would you want to describe this one?
After the defeat of the giant Gauss at the end of the last movie, suddenly a race of alien bugs, yes, we're back to aliens, which was a staple of the Showa series, but it's done much better in this movie. They come down and they want to take the planet for themselves, but it also involves a giant flower some way that I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
But still pretty damn cool. Steven Seagal's daughter is still there, but I think it's in this movie where she loses her connection with Gamera at the end, but Gamera's still technically a good guy, and they get more ambitious with the special effects, where we get some moving shots that are supposed to be from a car, and we get to see that perspective of Gamera while he's fighting the Legion, and then Gamera uses this awesome mana ray at the Mana Blast, whatever it's called, Mana Beam. It's a giant mana thing that comes out of his chest and destroys the giant Legion that controls all the smaller Legion.
It's basically a spirit bomb.
Yes, and Gamera somehow survives being spirit bombed to his own self because one of the flowers explodes and destroys all of Sendai, I think it was. where Gamera was, and he almost dies, but he gets resurrected, and it's just fucking awesome. Not as good as the last movie, in my opinion, but I'd still call this very good. It's very nice.
Yes. Legion is definitely one of those monsters that confused me, but its design was super cool that I fell in love with it. I also like how it had minions that attacked it, which upped its threat level very much. It did have a giant flower, which when it bloomed, exploded, which, wow, like, that is terrifying. Plants are always a weird monster for me already. And the fact that this giant flower just releases so much oxygen that a spark will just explode an entire area, it nearly kills Gamera. It really raised the stake on that, and I enjoyed it. And the only way Gamera won was by basically using a spirit bomb to kill the blood effect. It's like, this was a really cool, it was a cool monster, cool fights going in, interesting designs. Yeah, the girl grew up a bit, and she's starting to lose her connection to Gamera, and the movie explains that a bit more, which unfortunately I don't remember as well anymore, but it's done very nicely. I still throw it in the 5 range. Lower version of 5 than the first one, but I absolutely still enjoy it. It's like, when I'm watching this trilogy, I want to see all 3, because I want to see the story of this Gamera going forward.
Okay, in my personal opinion, I think it's on par with the first one. Like, the first in the Heisei trilogy. It's not on par with the first movie in general. Oh no! It's on par.
It's so much better.
Yeah, it's on par with the first Heisei film. The characters, that you get a new cast of characters involved with new motives, and in my personal opinion, it did a good job at introducing us to them and bringing their arcs in connection to Asagi and developing them as they go on. The new Gamera design is fucking awesome. They somehow managed to make it even more vicious than the prior one. I love both equally, but he looks even more vicious here. And Legion is a very unique kaiju that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. The only kaiju that I could say that somewhat matched her unique design would be the aggregate version of Destroya. And you do get some pretty sick kaiju battles here in the overall film. So if I was to rate it, obviously a 10 out of 10. I have nothing negative outside of nitpicks to bring up about the film. It's just a masterpiece.
Yeah, I got no qualms with this. Like, I got no qualms with it. I enjoy it. It inspired me to try and make more plant-like monsters or more alien-type monsters that are silicone-based and have, like, gaseous forms. Like, it was such a different idea that I never thought of. Like, I want to try and make more things like Legion, because I also just like the term Legion. It's always really cool. So yeah, 5 out of 5 also. It's going in there.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah, well, 2 more. We're almost done. Gamera 3, Revenge of Iris. So I already put it in 5. Oh yeah, do your plot.
So, the plot for the greatest movie of all time... That's just it. This is the greatest movie ever. I'm just kidding. No, seriously. After depleting the world of mana, this allows even more Gyaos to hatch, and there's like big swarms of it all over the place. And Gamera, looking badass, more badass than he ever has before. Seriously, this is like the greatest Gamera design ever. He's apparently telling humanity, fuck you, I gotta deal with these Gyaos, except for occasionally saving a child here and there. And meanwhile, while that's going on, another girl who was like there at the climax of the first movie, where her parents were accidentally killed by Gamera during his battle with the Super Gyaos at the end of that movie.
Oh no, we lost him at the cool part. We lost him at the cool part of the story. Either way, I know this one. So while our lore master fixes his things, there's a girl who was in the first movie who her parents died during the Gamera vs. Gyaos attack. She has developed an avid hatred for Gamera, so she's going to this one shrine that her family friend protects, and she finds an egg. And inside this little egg is a mutated Gyaos, which is said to be a Gamera killer. And it develops a bond with her, so as it grows up, it starts adopting her inside of it. It got a little spooky where I was a little concerned. It's like, there's a lot of tentacles in this Japanese movie. I'm afraid.
I've seen enough
where this is
hentai
going
to know where
go.
this is going.
I don't want it. I don't want this to go that direction. Thankfully, it doesn't. It really leads in. It might though. But either way, Iris ends up growing up and takes on Gamera. Kind of trounces him throughout most of the fight because he was designed to kill Gamera, which is super cool. Turns out Iris isn't all that benevolent either, and kind of just wants to kill everything and lead an army of Gyaos onto the world. So Gamera struggles against it. The girl ends up breaking free with the help of her friends. She ends up giving her energy to Gamera, who then basically uses his fire to regenerate his hand and basically burning finger Gyaos G Gundam style and blows him up for the inside out. And as everything's kind of destroyed, Gamera's
punch!
He looks up and sees a fleet of Gyaos just descending on the planet, and he just flies up to start fighting them. And the movie ends there. I've been pissed ever since that I never got the end of that fight.
This movie is a masterpiece. Like, it's interesting how they made 3 fucking movies without stepping down once. The characters are around, like, forgot the teenage girl's name.
Ayana.
Ayana, yes. If we could keep comparing to Heisei Godzilla movies, I guess the closest I could kind of compare her to would be Akira Yuki, as, for example, like, a lot like him. Like, she has a grudge against Gamera because he ended up killing her, killing some people dear to her, and as a whole, she just kind of grows to this vendetta against him. And around the end, when she sees that he isn't really the one truly at fault, and the bigger threat is the one that Gamera's fighting, she grows her perspective towards him, since Gamera is what saved her life in the grand scheme of things. The design of Gamera, absolutely vicious, and I fucking loved it. The gore elements here are incredible, like when he blows his fucking hand off just to save her. This turtle went through hell to save a girl that originally hated him. And I like how at the end when they get her out of Gamera's grasp, you can definitely tell by the look on his face and how the effect is operating that he cares, he knows what's going on, and he feels sympathy for her. And that's something that really gets you invested in this form of Gamera, as he's badass and intimidating, but he also has a sense of humanity in him. He's intelligent, just not in a very goofy way like the Showa era. Edis is a very unique and original kaiju that's really hard to go on about other than tentacle rape hentai. But Edis is cool.
I'm really glad it didn't do it. But when I first saw it, I'm like, I've seen enough Japanese movies to know where this usually goes.
Yeah, but yes, Edith's awesome, and how it kills people is actually quite terrifying. Like, he just grabs them, you see from his perspective, and sucks them dry. It's absolutely disturbing. I straight up call this a horror movie, to be honest, like a horror action fantasy. And how it ended, like, it gives that vibe like a typical Anno and Higuchi product of. It explains enough, but also leaves the rest open where you could put it together with your perspective. And the effects are just incredible. Like, there's some use of CGI here and there, but it's only when necessary. And when you look at the time and budget this came out, it's highly impressive looking at what they were able to do with that. So, no doubt, a 10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal entry to really conclude the series.
That was so elegantly put, sir. I can't really add into that. Like, that explains everything. I love it so much. Iris was probably the first Gamera monster I bought back when there's like West Coast and Sun Coast video stores in malls where they sold like VHSs, movies, and figures. I remember seeing an Iris figure, being so amazed by it. I'm like, I had to get this. I bought it, super happy. I still have it now. Part of its tentacles broke off over time, so when they finally released another one, I made sure to get it so I can complete my Heisei Gamera trilogy set. I love this one so much. I'm happy with how it was done. It also made me really laugh because the beginning of the movie starts off with Gamera attacking a couple Gyaos, and he somehow saves like 1 or 2 kids, when he kills maybe thousands of people in a city.
Yeah, but that's because here Gamera's not particularly a superhero. He's a guardian of the universe, and he'll protect what he can, but if it's in the way, it's fair game.
Oh, like, it's just so funny where he will go out of his way to save one child, and then the next movie he's killing thousands of people. I'm like, well, oops.
Yeah.
I don't know if that equates over, buddy, but I know your work is important, what you're doing matters, so
Yeah.
You do what you need to.
I also really like the ending song to this one. Like, in my personal opinion, it's soothing, and it worked with the overall tone of this movie, and gives a nice little way to conclude the whole thing. That it gives you that vibe that the trilogy's over in a good way.
Yeah, so sad, it's over. Lore Master, you got anything else?
I guess I'll start by saying that in terms of Suitmation, this movie has the greatest Suitmation special effects of all time. Like, especially when it comes to that final battle, there's nothing that looks phony about the suits. They don't even look like suits. They look like real animals that are going at it. The way they're shot, the lighting, everything about it just works. It's breathtaking. It's a fucking miracle, honestly. I can't believe I have to say this. Gamera, not Godzilla, has the best man in suit special effects ever to be done. It's fucking amazing. The CGI is a little meh, though. Like,
it's dated, but
seriously, during some of the flying, yes, seriously, those flying scenes, I could hardly tell what was going on. Although they did make good use of it when it came time for like Gamera to shoot fireballs at Iris, and Iris kept on deflecting them with its tentacles. That was good stuff. I do agree that I don't care for the anticlimactic climax. Shut up. But my friend Ryan George Collins, aka the Omniviewer, has a video exploring and analyzing that climax. So for anyone who was also disappointed with that ending, I suggest you go check out that video to get a different perspective. It might make you think, but other than that, I think that the movie is definitely the top of the top, the greatest of the Gamera movies. I'm a little bit biased towards Guardian of the Universe only because I've seen it more than any other Gamera movie. But if you had to ask me my objective opinion, Revenge of Iris is top notch.
I wholeheartedly agree. And unfortunately, gentlemen, we come down to the very, very last movie. The last Gamera movie currently to date is Gamera the Brave, released in 2006.
So, it starts in the 1970s where Gamera's fighting a bunch of Gaios, because of course he is at this point, and then blows himself up. But then it cuts to modern day of 2006, and the boy who saw Gamera's last battle has come to be both a father and a widower who's trying to raise his son without his mom, who tragically passed away. And then that boy finds
he finds somebody.
Slowly grow over time. Adventure kid thing. Yeah. And then there's this girl who has to have a heart operation, and then all of a sudden Zetus shows up right the fuck out of nowhere. Looks sort of like a more lizardy version of Godzilla. And then they fight. It's actually a lot better than I'm making it out to be. I'm just a little bit fried because we've been going for almost 2 hours. But Gamera the Brave is a good movie. A really good movie.
Yeah, I love this movie. Like, here's how I see Gamera the Brave. It's like they watched the Showa era and the 90s movies, and they were like, okay, let's add elements of both. Let's go back to primarily aiming towards a younger crowd, but also throw in elements, a lot of elements of the Heisei era to keep it good. Like, you have all this dark stuff, like when Zetus starts biting into the bus, you see blood on his teeth, you have a lot of drama going on with the family, and all that just feels very good, and the dynamic between the kids and their parents overall feels more realistic, and I was invested in it. And all around, the kids aren't annoying. They're actually very well fleshed out characters that are all played great by their actors. They feel like children, and I just couldn't help but actually care about their journey. Gamera's new design, like you have the design at the beginning, he looks old, and I'm not a fan of it, but his effect looks good. And then you have the new design being Toto, that's more cutesy, but honestly, it works with the tone of this movie being more sweet and relaxing with some dark aspects to show up. And if I was to describe it, it feels like a live-action Studio Ghibli movie, just with darker elements, and I fucking loved that.
Absolutely.
Zadis, on the other hand, is basically a lizard-like dinosaur thingy that was absolutely very unique, and something about the suit and how he walked resembled that of an actual lizard if it would walk on 2 legs, and I thought that was actually very cool. And despite Gamera being cutesy, it didn't stop from the fact you got some very cool battles that come from it that had a lot of intensity. Though if I was to get into some criticisms, one, that scene where they're running with with that one thing that gave Gamera strength to defeat Zadis, that was kind of a little bit on the overly sappy side for me, where it just kind of took away. And also Gamera's new roar. Like, I think the reason they couldn't use the original roar was because of copyright issues.
Weird.
But, well, wait, they did. They did use the roar. They used it at the beginning. But the thing is, but someone said it was copyright issues. Regardless of what it was. Even if it...
I can explain it.
Huh?
He can explain it. He's the lore master. He knows.
Okay, just give me a minute till I say my piece on this. Even if they had to change the roar, first off, with that cutesy design, that generic old dinosaur roar does not fit Gamera, let alone that very harmless design. Second, it's an overused roar, and it's distracting and does take away from the experience a bit. Overall, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. It comes close to being as great as the other Heisei films, but there's 2 things that slightly bring it below them. But for what it is, both the Heisei trilogy, I'm just going to say the 90s trilogy and the 2000s, because they're both Heisei films. Both the 90s trilogy and the Brave are fantastic for their own reasons. Like, I can watch the Gamera trilogy when I want something deep, dark, and in depth, and I could watch this when I'm looking for something that's more fun, relaxing, with appropriately dark elements to show up here and there. Fantastic film.
Fair enough. Lore Master, please explain things.
So they had apparently Kadokawa has access to the Gamera roar whenever they want it. All that thing about Toho holding it is not true. They intentionally left it out because they wanted to take the series. This is a quote. They wanted to take the series in a different direction that didn't involve the roar, and they came to regret the decision after seeing how many people wanted the roar back.
Yeah, that was a really fucking stupid decision, especially if you're gonna give him a new roar, give him one that, 1, works with the cutesy design, 2, isn't a fucking stock roar. But as a whole, it's a phenomenal movie. I love it.
Yeah. Lore Master, how's your thoughts on it?
I'd say Joey's pretty much on point for the most part. I actually like that it's pretty kid-centric. The way they execute it almost does feel like an anime movie come to life. And then by anime movie, apparently I mean Studio Ghibli movie come to life. Yeah, so it's not as good as the 90s trilogy, but it's still pretty good in its own right. It takes the special effects of the 90s trilogy and the kid-centric thing of the Showa series and combines them together into what's actually a fairly competently made movie. I don't have a whole lot of complaints about it. I don't care for the use of the stock roar. I like Gamera's design fine. I think it suits the tone of the movie and what they were going for. It's not the best, in my opinion. The Gamera 3 design is the best Gamera design, if you ask me. It has better CG effects, comparatively speaking, to Gamera 3, but that's because it 2006 versus 1999, you know? I don't mind the saffiness of the Gamera Jewel run, I guess I'll call it, where the kids are handing off the jewel to each other. I find it charmingly sappy, and yeah, it's a good movie.
So where'd you put it? Like low 5, high 4?
Low 5 for sure, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I think Gamera 3 should be the front of the 5s, if you ask me.
I do agree with that too. Alright, yeah. Gamera 3 is up. Gamera 3 is going up that rank notch. So I had an issue with Brave at first because I was going from that trilogy thinking this was going to be the next part of that, and it wasn't, and I was very saddened. But taking it a couple years later and seeing it for what it is, it's a cute little movie. It's like, this is a nice little Gamera movie that could have just done something on its own it sticks the landing of trying to be what it wants to, and I'm happy enough with it. I guess harmless is what that term is. It's not going to be overly outstanding, but it's not hurting me like the Showa ones did either. It's like, this is just a nice thing to throw on, have in the background with a Gamerathon, and just enjoy myself. I would give it more so a 4, but you guys have like more so said otherwise, so I'll put it in just low 5. And I feel like that's all of them. That's a good running, and that makes sense for a lot of these.
For sure. I think we might have been a little bit more generous with the Showa movies than we should have been, but still. And I think I've said about everything I wanted to say. Gamera's neat. He's made of turtle meat. We've been eating Gamera. Excited for the new Gamera project on Netflix. Here's hoping it comes out sooner than later.
Indeed. I think that wraps us up, though. Is that right?
Yep. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Please comment your thoughts down below. And if you enjoyed it, please smash that like button, share it around, and subscribe. Also, check out the YouTube channel if you're watching this live, and if you're watching it, the edited version on the YouTube channel to come later. Check out the Twitch account, Galactic Nerd Outpost. Also, thanks again for Forgotten Pharaoh and Cody Bright for joining the podcast. It was nice to have them, as always, to join. This is Gojin the Makai Phantom, leaving the building. Bye-bye!